Today I thought I would try to clear up some frequently perpetuated misconceptions about the role of moderators within the game of Stronghold Kingdoms. One of the most common accusations leveled at us is that we can actually ban players from the game. This is simply not true. I really don't know how else to put it. The bans that we can hand out are limited to posting bans, and those are applied to the in-game forums and walls in parishes, so it is really quite limited in scope. We can also ban a player for 1 or 3 days from walls and forums, and also from the in-game chat. I will demonstrate that by going to my profile, and here you'll see that in addition to the usual information that is available on a player's profile, there is the administrator functions button. Now this is a legacy screen. Anybody who has been playing the game since probably beta will likely remember this screen, but in addition to just the usual information, I have the is moderator panel right here, and this lists the permissions I have within game when it comes to actually banning anything. As you can see, I can ban players from chat, the forum, and the wall. I can't handle mail bans or anything like that. And the maximum duration that I can hand out a ban for is 3 days. I have never ever used these in my time spent as a moderator for Stronghold Kingdoms. And then you'll see here for chat there's a little K button, and that allows you to kick players from chat. Really, the only time I have kicked players from chat is because they were stuck in there. So due to a technical glitch, the game didn't remove them from chat once they logged out of the game, so they got stuck in the chat, and you can remove them. So as you can see right there, the scope of the bans is very limited in nature when it comes to the game. There's simply no way for a moderator to actually ban you out of your account. And I think that is one of the worst myths, I guess you could call it, about moderators of this game. Another is that we are paid. I mean, I can sort of understand, because frequently I'll be providing technical information in the forum. People seem to believe that we are compensated in some way for our work, if not directly monetary compensation, an implicit or a bonus to game currency of some sort. Free crowns, free cards, free premium tokens. And this has been proposed by some moderators, and I remain vehemently opposed to it. It's sort of the, I don't know, I want to call it a false dichotomy that in order for me to be a good moderator of the game, I have to be paid for it. And I don't. So I feel like the people who are trying to get more out of Firefly for being a moderator, I mean, besides from the benefit of being able to converse quite frequently with the team directly, I think that is the biggest perk to having this title. They seem to want more. I disagree with that position, but that is really up to the individual to take a position on that. But it remains the case that all of the work that is done by me and other moderators in the forums and in game is pro bono, and we're not compensated monetarily or through in-game currencies of any sort for providing these services, really, because that's what it is. It's a community management service, and this is especially an accusation levied against you by players who believe they're entitled to your support, especially in the technical forum. If I'm unable to resolve a technical issue or I handle it in a less than professional manner, I'll be rebuked quite often for not being professional. I attempt to strive for a professional demeanor in which I present myself in the forums and in game. I very rarely descend into anything inflammatory or really derogatory, anything that would really be considered an ad hominem attack against other players. The idea is that you can debate other players, in other words, disagree with them. Obviously, the customer is not always right, regardless of what misguided people in retail or misguided consumers may have told you. There are times when you'll simply be compelled to hold a different viewpoint, and that will generally lead to a disagreement. And the idea is always that you attack the ideas and not the individual. So, I'm only human though, so I'm sure from time to time I will slip up and conduct myself in a less than professional manner in some aspect of the game. And this, of course, will impact my reputation as a moderator of the game. I have to agree that being a moderator of the game, my reputation is a bit tied to the company, to Firefly Studios. So if I conduct myself poorly, that reflects poorly on them, which is why, in general, they are really looking for people who are able to conduct themselves in a civil, rather mature manner. You need to be rather stoic, I guess you could say. No handing out bans for accounts. I think that is the primary message that I want people to take away from this video. Account bans are simply out of the hands of moderators. And number 2 point is that the work that we do is pro bono. We are volunteers. Point number 3 would be that these videos that I put out on Stronghold Kingdoms, I am not compensated by Firefly for them in any way either. I do have a disclaimer on my About page, but I frankly doubt everybody reads that, in which I sort of go into detail about the fact that although I am affiliated with Firefly by being a moderator for their game, they do not sponsor any of my content that I produce. I'm not being compensated for it in any way. And I think it's important to maintain that independence, because otherwise you're just a corporate mouthpiece, I guess you could say. And that really limits your freedom of expression when it comes to mentioning some of the more pernicious aspects of the game. I value the ability to freely critique those parts of the game, those mechanics that like I said, that I find pernicious. So if a bad update is pushed, I could call it out. As it turns out, I am actually a big fan of the game, so there might be some implicit, anytime you're a fan of something, it comes with an implicit bias towards that thing. I'm more likely to be positive and positively receive updates and stuff than a more impartial onlooker, or like a game critic or a reviewer. But I think the important thing is to maintain as much transparency as I am permitted to. A large part of doing so inspires trust from other people, and they see that you don't have a hidden agenda somewhere. Because what is the promise, the implicit or explicit promise that I am making to people who watch this? It's that I have information that you are interested in knowing, and if I fulfill that promise, then you leave happy and I leave happy. So it's a mutual transaction, I guess you could say. I get views for it, and it's a little number counting up. It's not unnatural to want to succeed in various aspects, but some people do it differently than others. And the manner in which I gauge my success is by how well propagated my ideas are. I think that I have some very good ideas, and I would like to see more people, or I'd like more people to hear them, but I never take your time for granted. I obviously need to earn your time. But like I said, the promise is that I generally have something informative or amusing that you're interested in knowing. And once I meet that obligation, our contract is over. I'm not obligated to provide you with more, or vice versa. You're not obligated to provide me with more. That has been abused on both sides by other people from time to time, of course. And I think it is important to know where that obligation or that implicit contract ends, because some people don't really understand how implicit contracts such as that work, especially when it's in a medium as fluid, really, as online video. Yeah, so that was a bit of a ramble. I have been accused of rambling from time to time, but I think you came away with what you wanted to know. And by getting this information out there, I'm hoping that more people will be better informed about the position of moderators within Stronghold Kingdoms. So as always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.